with 2 viewers already. I just hit the live button.
How awesome is that? That's called anticipation, eager anticipation. I think
That's what that is. That's what that is. Well, you know what? At least that's what we'll call it. How's that?
Yes, we can call it whatever we want, and nobody can disagree.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Um,
So, welcome, folks, to week 9 priorities.
Priorities. Yep, priorities. Powerful things, priorities.
That's right.
My
That's
priority
right.
is always first thing in the morning, I have a cup of tea. That's my first priority before I go and have a shower, before I do anything else, cup of tea.
That's right. And for irony's sake, we're starting the broadcast 25 minutes late just for fun.
Yes, our priority starts on air, on time. That was the priority.
That was the priority. And clearly, we're going to teach you about priorities. While the priority was that we aren't here on time, I guess.
In fact, I'm going to do a little bit of backpedaling here and saying that starting the broadcast on air, on time, was a priority. But it wasn't the priority. There's a difference between a priority and the priority.
Right. Just like it's a priority of mine to say, hi, Vera Van Leeuwen from Eldenhoven. Welcome to the broadcast.
Yes, welcome, Vera. From Eindhoven. I'm going to go with Eindhoven.
Eindhoven.
It could be. That's
Probably.
That's a guess. Hello from Eindhoven.
Welcome, all the same.
And we've got 7 viewers now. We've got 7. They're rocketing up the charts. Yeah, we've never had so many people come in so fast and so eager with anticipation and optimism.
The Netherlands, nice. From the nether regions.
The nether regions, yes.
That's right.
Is that what the Netherlands actually means? The Netherlands? Is it a literal translation?
I have no idea.
I don't. I just like to know these things. The Netherlands. I'm
I have no idea.
My mission to find out by tomorrow where the term Netherlands comes from. Whereas tonight we're talking about priorities.
Yep. So that'll be a priority for another day.
It will. It will go on the list of priorities, but it's not the priority.
Right. Okay. So where shall we start this, Colin?
That's a very good question. I actually made a brief overview note. I mean, we've got our bullet points, but I always do something on the table. And I put here on this bit of paper because these ideas pop into my head, and I call them light bulb moments, so I jot them down. And this was one of those. And it says priorities, a great word for a scale that we measure the importance of things on. We've got low or lowest priority that sits at one end of the scale, and high or highest priority sits firmly at the other end.
Mm-hmm.
And the level of priority dictates the level of importance that an outcome holds. That sounds very technical for people who are just stepping in.
Oh, very technical. Very technical. You should write a technical guide. The instruction manual that I promptly throw away when I'm building something.
Yes. Yeah, I don't even read them. It just doesn't even get into the house. It just goes. So yeah, basically priorities are just a way of
Hey, Tony.
Of things. Tony D, is that?
Yep. Welcome to the broadcast, Tony.
Yes. I can see. I need reading glasses. That's why I have some. Most marvelous. That should have been a priority, John. Put the reading glasses on before we start.
There you go. There you go. Again, folks, priorities.
It's just now I see you.
Well, I invited you up if you want to come up and join us, Tony. We're doing a show, several weeks of show series. This episode, we're doing it on priorities, prioritizing the priorities.
Yes. Drop an invite. Nothing ventured.
That's what I did. I sure did. I sure enough did.
Yeah, sure did.
Sure enough. Okay, there we go. So, the app is acting out. Plus, I'm out with my son. I'll be listening though. All right, buddy.
That's fair enough. Appreciate
He's here in spirit. That's the important thing.
He's here in spirit.
Okay, so going to the bullet points, looking at this, we've got point number 1. Yep.
The trouble is they normally stretch out to 2-liners, so yeah, it would be classic if you left them at 1. Carry on.
And they're only classic because Colin's a classic.
Yeah, antique is the word I would
Yeah,
use.
yeah. Well, that's a maybe. Maybe it's a different word. Yeah.
Yeah, it works. Cheerios on a theme. Yeah, the old man of the sea.
Oh gosh.
I have to say here, priorities are things that we have deemed necessary. Priorities are essentials. They're an outcome that must happen. These are just prior to the bullet points. I have to say that priorities can be urgent, as in an emergency, like getting a woman to hospital who's about to have a baby, getting people out of the burning building. That's got to be a priority, the priority.
Yep.
So priorities can also be, as we've said, an emergency or urgent, but they can also be longer term. A 5-year goal can be a priority.
Yeah.
That ties in with one of our bullet points. So we'll just leave that bit there because you can tie that in nicely.
Okay. We'll just stack it on the table right there in front of everybody, a little conversation piece, and just kind of set it there.
Yep, job done.
There you go. Yep.
Bullet points. So yours.
Bullet points. Yep. Right, Tony? This guy needs to narrate something.
Yeah. Oh.
Do a little.
What was that? You went, you came, conquered.
I think that was Haps breaking at the idea that you're going to narrate something.
Yeah, scary thought.
It's like, oh man, this could be awesome. Okay, so point number one that at least I have on my notes is what are the priorities and their impact? Like explaining what this is. I mean, it's pretty basic stuff. We all know what priorities are, folks. Thanks, Tony. You're awesome, buddy.
He just stopped.
Let's face it, folks. We're not 8-year-olds. We know what a priority is in life. We know when something is probably more important than the next thing at a given moment. Like, we know these things, right?
We do.
So point number one is pretty easy to kind of go over. So I don't want to spend the whole broadcast on it, of course, but just kind of what are priorities and how do they impact things?
Yep.
So what do we have here, Colin? We got
every action. Every action requires a sense of urgency from personal motivation or obligation. You're driven to accomplish a thing. And I just tagged onto that. Everything we do will tie back to something on our list of priorities. Whatever we're doing, there's going to be a reason why we do it. There has to be a reason. Yeah?
He's going to be Jarvis.
Dude, I swear you've been voiceover for Jarvis or Vision. Okay.
Let me post that comment up live for everybody to see. Come on, Haps. Do it. Do it. Do it, Haps. Do it. There we go.
So yeah, everything we do is going to tie back to our to something on our list of priorities.
Right.
We talked about motivation and obligation here, I think.
So, yeah, when you have a priority with something, it's either from it kind of, at least in my book, from as far as I understand things, when I kind of look at the breakdown of it, it kind of breaks down to two kind of segments. One is through obligation, like you have a sense of obligation to someone else. Maybe you owe them a favor. You feel protective of that person. You're obligated to do whatever thing that person, their health and safety is your priority. Like Tony is currently with his son, right? His son's experience and happiness in the moment is Tony's priority. So in this moment, that's the number one priority for him, right? It's
100%.
It's out of love, but there's also like a familiar obligation there, right? Yeah. Obligation doesn't have to mean a bad or negative thing. It's just a word.
Well, an obligation usually comes from.
That's right. See?
Copious amounts. An obligation usually comes from an agreement that's been made on some level, an agreement that limits, reduces, or keeps at bay some form of negative repercussion. Because we're obligated because we don't want anything bad to happen, or we're obligated because we want to keep the good things in place. That's right. What makes sense, doesn't it? Anything we do is going to tie into there on some level.
Right, right. So I don't want it to obligation for a lot of people, maybe not everyone, but for a lot of people, tends to come with a negative connotation, kind of a feeling at least to it. And I don't want that to come across in this. Uh, to say obligation is really just to say
Agreement.
that in order for you to maintain something the way that you want it to be, you must make it a priority. Like a marriage, right? You have to make your spouse a priority over other things in many instances,
Yeah, like
right?
keeping a promise. Keeping a promise is another way of saying obligation, isn't it?
Exactly. So it's not that it's always negative. It's just sometimes people can see it that way. But anyway, that's one way of doing it.
Yeah.
Is that you're obligated to be to have something as a priority. You have an obligation to it. So that's number one. Number two is simply that you have a desire for something to be better, more, different, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So out of that desire, you want things to change. Oh, here's Tony.
I'm taking a chance.
There he
Can you
is.
hear me?
Hey,
Yep.
welcome,
Can
Tony.
you hear me?
How's it going, buddy?
Yep.
How's it going?
All right. I want to apologize for interrupting, man. I didn't want to be rude, but I'm out here. You can hear the background. It's an indoor play area with my son. But John, you know we had a ball the other day, right? You know we had a good time on that conversation, right, John?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Star Trek, man.
Colin had me crying on Randy Orton's broadcast. He missed it, dog. He had the one-liner that he would never show his face. All he had was a background of a living room, and I swore it was his. He was up there tripping out. I'm sorry. I will let y'all get back to y'all priorities. I know y'all having a serious convo, but I just wanted to let Colin know I can finally see his face. So I told him next time I see him, I better see his face. I better
Good to
see
see
his
you,
face.
Tony. Good to see you, buddy.
I know. Y'all go ahead, man. I'm going to be listening, but I just wanted to jump up. I'm glad to let me through, but I apologize for interrupting.
Yeah,
Y'all go ahead, man. I'll be
no,
listening.
no interruption at all, man.
Dude, his voice is still a... Colin, come
What's
closer to
going
the
on?
mic with a serious...
What's happening?
Come closer to the mic with a serious face. You got this. I'm telling you, you got this. You will be...
Yeah,
oh, my
Colin.
God.
Yeah, Colin. You got this. You got this,
You got
Colin.
this, man. Dude, I'm coming on later tonight, too. Once I get him to bed, I'm going to come on later on tonight. So y'all stand by, okay?
All right.
All right, I'll be watching, man. Y'all take care.
Later on, man.
Oh, bless. Yeah, we was in a broadcast. I think it was either yesterday or the day before, and I was just in the background. I had my the contrast spun round so that I was like all in dark. You couldn't see who it was or anything, and just these one-liners were just flowing. Sometimes somebody will say something and it'll trigger that one-liner, and that they were just being triggered left, right, left, right, left, right.
Oh,
Tony was
nice.
howling in the background. He was rolling on the carpet. Bless him. He was
Yeah, my ridiculous stuff is like that with music. Yesterday, God, I was on Cher. I was on If I Only Had a Brain from The Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah.
And then I was on the original Burger King theme song, the original one, the Hold the Pickles, Hold the Lettuce, Special Orders Won't Upset Us. All we ask is that you let us serve it your way.
Wow. If I'm going to be a narrator, you should do jingles for people's adverts. That would be awesome.
Oh my God. I was all over the place, man. And the bad thing is I was at work. I was trying to do my job.
Oh, very good Polish stars. You have this obligation, you see, to earn that paycheck. I understand
That's right.
how it can be. It's tough
That's
at the top,
right.
at the bottom. Where were
But
we?
it was more of a priority for me in the moment to have fun.
Of course. That's what it's all about. We've got people coming in thick and fast. We've got Vera here.
Oh, we got Vera. There she is.
Vera's in the house.
Yeah.
Question. Right, Vera. Talk to us for 20 minutes on priorities. The floor is yours.
Please take the topic and do all our job for us.
Do what you
There
want.
you go.
Sit here and listen to you.
Well, I can give it a try. Priorities.
Hey, yeah. I'm just curious. Yeah. Just tell us what you think about priorities. It might tie in nicely with one of our bullet points, hey, John?
Oh, yeah.
You never know.
Well, priorities to me.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the big things is that you stay true to yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a
I
good
think, I
one.
think, I think
Respect others.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Respect their journey.
Yep. Yep.
Because every single person has his own priority.
Mm.
And each one has his own path, his own experiences.
Okay. So are we talking about priorities here, or are we talking about codes of conduct, Vera? I think there's a slight.
I think I see where she's coming from.
Yeah,
would it be fair to say that you're prioritizing your own self-value and the value of the relationship with the person?
Yes.
And you're setting that as a priority.
Yes.
In the moment, that is the priority.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
You said that correctly.
Okay.
Sometimes I take a back road to get where it needs to go. So you can put it
John and I both
together.
John and I both do. We approach things from different ends.
Oh, yeah.
Meet in the middle.
That's why I drive an off-road vehicle.
Yeah. And that's why I've got a helicopter. Yeah. It's
Well, maybe that's why I have animals.
There you go. There you go.
Ties in nicely.
So actually, that was the next bullet point step was how can priorities impact and affect the relationships and the experiences you have with your relationships?
Yes.
So it actually, like you went to the absolute next bullet point.
Straight in there. Hit the nail on the head. I say
just beeline right to it.
I say maybe this will tie in nicely with one of the bullet points. And Vera, you went straight to the next bullet point. Hit the nail right on the head.
Straight on it.
Straight to it. So let's look at this. Let's approach this then for priorities and affecting relationships, etc. I think I put some notes down here. Stable relationships. Priorities in any relationship will intersect or meet in the middle at some point if that relationship is one that's stable. Whereas if you look at unstable relationships and those that are falling apart, usually there's some joint priorities there, and one of the values is shifting on one of the people. You know, their priorities change, and it's like they lose that middle ground. So you then get the situation where you've got, like, what is it, the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. You know, they both have their priorities there, both the people in the relationship. But unless those priorities meet together or intersect at some point, that is a recipe for disaster for that relationship, which is what I think Vera was tying in nicely with. You know, do unto others as you would be done by. As the Wiccans say, if it harms nobody, do what you want. You know, think of
or do as you will, and harm none.
Yeah. And it harm none, do as you will. Yeah. I was just
I think a very big priority in any type of relationship is that you respect each other. Listen to what the other one has to say.
Yes. I mean, there's a challenge.
It's okay. Yeah, and it's okay to have an argument or disagreement as long as you can find a way to meet middle ground, but also to give another enough space to do their own thing. Because even though I don't have a relationship, but I feel strongly that if you bring in your own unique self, that you can function without the other. That relationship is way stronger than when you have one that is in control and the other one has to follow and doesn't get hurt.
Right. That's not so I really love that you pointed that out. If you are in say a romantic relationship, okay, and one person is leading and the other person is following, you're not really in a relationship. You're in a partnership, right? You're not even that. You're following the leader, basically, right? Like it's what you do at work. You follow the boss, right? Like you go in, you clock in, you do your paycheck stuff, and then you clock out. that's what the relationship has become when you're only following the leader, when you're not contributing your equal part to that. You're just coming in, performing a task, and going home.
Yeah,
Right?
because I feel that if you follow the one that's telling you what to do,
Mm-hmm.
you train the one that it is allowed to treat you as if you are
Mm-hmm.
Oh
well,
yeah,
slave.
yes.
A low priority.
If you're
Yep.
accepting somebody else's treatment of you, you're
Right.
actually condoning it. You're actually
Right.
saying, yes, that's absolutely fine. But there's a couple of points I want to broach there. One of them, any relationship is a collaboration. I
Yeah.
don't think it's right that any one of them should lead and the other one follow. But I think
Right.
there are going to be natural skills, a natural skill set from both parties, where that person obviously will take the leading role in that situation. And I think it's about compromise and saying, look, in this situation, you're the mechanic, so it's going to be down to you to say, you know, what the advice is going to be regarding the car. Okay, so
Mhm.
somebody and the other partner might be like really good at finances, so they will take the leading role when sorting out the household accounts. But I
Mhm.
think it still has to be a compromise. It still has to be some kind of workaround in place, some kind of compromise for the relationship to work. I think that's what Vera was saying. You know, no one takes the leading overall role.
Right.
No,
And
because
this again.
when the one that is just listening and follows,
Yeah.
it will eventually, when that person starts to feel stronger because they evolve, they learn, they experience make them stronger.
Mhm.
It can backfire in the relationship because the one that was always telling the other one what to do, all of a sudden doesn't have a say in it.
Right. And
This
that
is
could
what-
destroy the relationship.
It can. It will just bring it tumbling down like a house of cards.
But
So,
like
compromise.
I think all of this borrows nicely into the topic of how priorities can affect a relationship. The point here is that we need to prioritize in a relationship, right? When it's an actual equal relationship, when you're in a partnership with each other.
Yeah.
I think we need to prioritize the other person in the relationship and their wants, their interests, their desires, things like that. So I heard a story recently about a guy. He used to work at it was like an opera show or some kind of play, right? Like people would come and they'd sit in the audience and they'd watch a show and they'd go
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
And this guy was the guy at the front that would take the tickets from you. And
Okay.
all the time, he said he would all the time. It might have been somebody here on Haps that was telling the story. I can't remember who it was. That he would see a couple come in. The wife would be dressed up,
Right.
and the husband would be in like a t-shirt and jeans,
Ah,
and like no effort at all. But this, like, you could tell it meant a lot to her to be there, but he couldn't prioritize the relationship, her interest, her happiness in that moment. He couldn't prioritize that to share the moment with her, right? And so it's little things like that in a relationship over time that add up to the final fights and things like that. It's rarely one instance of one thing that leads to a bad partner relationship, a bad fight, a parting of ways, whatever. It's
when
rarely
all the
one or
mortar
two
comes
bad
out of
things.
the joints. Yeah, when all the mortar comes out of the joints in the brickwork that holds everything together.
Exactly. It's
Or-
the whole house is
What-
not going to fall down because one brick came out,
Yeah.
right?
But what
Yeah.
also could be that the guy would love to put his wife on a pedestal,
Mhm.
on first place, highest position, because
Yeah.
she has to be the one that takes all the heat and everyone is looking.
Right.
But that could be that he's telling her to put those clothes on,
Yeah, it could be.
and he doesn't care less.
Oh yeah, there's always two
you never
sides to
know.
every story. I mean,
Of course.
when we're doing this broadcast about mindset, we try to point out both sides of the equation
Mhm.
because there's always going to be two sides, and then there's going to be that little bit of grey area in the middle. So
Exactly.
it could be any one of several scenarios, but that's a couple of great scenarios that you brought to the table there, Vera. Love it, absolutely love it.
Yep.
Where are we,
And
John?
it all comes back to how priorities affect your relationship. If you can't prioritize the other person in the relationship, your relationship's going to suffer, right? And
Yeah.
it's the same with Tony, with his son. I think it's a beautiful thing. He's out letting his son have a good time. He's prioritizing his son's happiness, and that's cultivating and building on that relationship, right?
Okay.
He's putting something that his son cares about as a priority in his life, and that's why he's there with his son. That's simply what we're talking about.
It's finding that middle ground. I think I'm not sure whether it was Zig Ziglar or who's the other guy, Jim Rohn, and something I was listening to a lot of years ago, and he was talking about currently at that point in time there were a lot of parents that couldn't interact with their offspring.
Yeah.
Because there were two different generations, and he said exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Get yourself interested in the stuff that your kids are interested in.
Yeah. You don't have to pick up the lingo. Just be there.
Exactly. And that's what I did. I mean, my oldest lad, he's 16. And he's into the whole Minecraft thing and building. He's about to start college in a few weeks' time. And he's actually reverse engineering Minecraft. He's looking at it, how Minecraft's been put together and the shading aspects of it.
Nice.
And then drawing like a real life drawing of it, not as Minecraft blocks, but he's utilizing how the shading's been done in the Minecraft. And to me, that is awesome. He's like taking something that he's experienced, applying it into everyday life. And it's something that we can talk about.
Yeah.
We're both interested in it. So yeah, 100%. Sorry, Vera.
Well, it is, even if you have 5 minutes for, say, your son or a loved one, but these 5 minutes are extremely deep, extremely powerful, with full focus on that person. That's way more valuable than that you are there for 24 hours and every time the person asks you something, sorry, I'm busy.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, 100%.
That's right.
100%. It's about
quality.
Being present there. Quality, not quantity.
And this actually, I love it, Vera. You actually borrow right into another bullet point that I had a little bit further down the list, of course, but it is there. Is don't let your distractions distract you. Okay, prioritize things when you're there. And I see this all the time, and it breaks my heart. Right, I'll go to a restaurant, and maybe not now because of COVID, but like you go to the restaurant and you'd sit down with your meal, and you'd see the table just 30, 40, 50 feet away, and there's a family of 4 or 5 sitting there, all of them on their phones. All of them at the table.
Isn't it frustrating?
Right? And I'm like, oh my God, like you're here with your family. You're here.
Yeah.
Be with the family. Like be here and be with the family. Don't be on the phone off in the Netherlands talking with somebody else.
Right? The body's there, but the mind's taking a trip somewhere.
In a fantasy world. They're in a fantasy world.
Exactly.
They can't handle the real world.
Exactly. So what I put on here in the bullet points is when you're with someone, it doesn't matter if it's romantic. If you're there as a friend, if you're there, especially if you're there at work and it's your boss, right? You're in a meeting. Put your damn phone away.
Yeah.
Don't put it on the table. Don't put it like screen down. Go, oh, I'm not going to answer that. Oh, you're such a big guy, right?
Yeah.
Put it away. Turn the ringer off. Turn the vibration thing off, and like put it in your pocket. You don't even know when somebody's talking to you. Prioritize this moment with this person, and you will be amazed the level that your relationships will just skyrocket and just become so much better because you put that person before anything else, before your phone, before emails, whatever. You put that person in that moment before anything else. I promise you're going to win.
Yet again, John,
I learn a lot.
We approach the same thing from different directions. Sorry, Vera, just bear with me a minute. We've done the same thing. We've approached it from different directions. I mean, I made a note here saying that it's not the lack of interest that's causing this. It's the lack of priority. which ties in with what Vera said about prioritizing that. So Vera, over to you.
Well, I learn a lot from my animals. Behind me on the bed is a Bernese Mountain Dog. If he wants attention, and yeah, sometimes it does happen when you live alone, you're out on the phone.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank God I have a pretty strong phone, because he will make that thing flying.
Get off the phone! Yeah, bless him.
That's a bit about the size of a dog. So if he puts his paw on, your phone will go flying.
Yeah, it's gonna go. Yeah.
So in fact, he's teaching me to live in the moment, in the now, right here, right now.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you still need that human interaction, which is obviously why you're using the phone, for the different purposes.
Of course.
But you've still got to make time for your. You didn't tell me what the dog's name was. What was the dog's name?
Benji.
Benji. You still have to make time for Benji, quality time with Benji. Whether that's taking him out into the garden, spending some quality time, stroking him, petting him, feeding him, and all the rest of it. Grooming. Yes,
all of it. All of it. But
the grooming thing is for him like getting Reiki or a massage.
Yeah.
So it's quality time.
It is.
But I mean, that's kind of the point that that this bullet point, ironically enough, is trying to make, is that there are like distractions in life are going to be there for us everywhere you turn. There's going to be a distraction. It's right there for you to be right in your face and interrupt whatever the hell it is you're doing, your train of thought, whatever, right? It's going to be right there for you. If one's not there, there's 150 more in line. Wait, they're not in line. They're crowding around you, trying to get your autograph at every second.
Yeah.
Okay?
Space invaders coming in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you want to get peace in your life, and you need peace, don't get me wrong. You need food. So you need food, communication, and peace. Right? Like, if you got too much stress going on, you're going to shut down. You're going to be unhealthy. You're going to heart attacks, whatever. Right? You need peace in your life, and that means you need less distractions and more in the moment and more relaxing. And I think in this context, at least, I think that, and this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, so I'm so sorry, but I think in this context, the male gender might have a little bit of an advantage over the female gender in this context, because we have this unusual gift in our brains to think about nothing. we can absolutely sit here.
I do that when I'm supposed to be thinking about something important. I go into nothingness. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm learning. I'm learning to do nothing, to think nothing.
Yeah. And it's peaceful, isn't it, Vera?
It is.
It is. And I've had so many girlfriends. My wife gets upset sometimes. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing." It's so true. Ladies, I promise you, it is so true. The guy in your life can absolutely be sitting there and doing menial tasks like driving, things we do all the time. We're so used to it. And we go autopilot, engaged, and just shut the rest of it down.
Yeah.
Right? We're breathing. That's about it.
Yeah, the autonomic processes are at work.
Right?
Well, when I'm driving, I have also, that goes on autopilot, and I don't think. I look at the road to keep everything safe, look out for.
Yeah, and everybody does that. That's why I love the driving example, because even women do it all the time. Think about it. Like, you're driving at some point in time in your life. You've driven kind of late from one place to like your home, right? And it's a road you've been down 100,000 times before. You know the road. There's not a lot of traffic, and you just zoned out. And when you pull up in your driveway, you're like, "Shit! Did I just drive the last 20 miles? What happened?"
Yeah.
Right?
You didn't pay any
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Men do this on a snap of a finger at any point in time in our lives, not just when we're driving.
But the best time is the easiest time is, as you say, when you're driving. You know, I can drive out to Woolstop on automatic pilot, so I don't need to be there. So I just climb in the back.
Yeah, basically.
But I know men that have trouble with that.
Yes, and now, please understand, I dislike the whole thing of painting everybody with the same brush.
Yeah.
This is just kind of a general. It's a normal thing. Of course, there's always going to be outliers to a standard, right? You can throw a standard on the table. You're always going to have little outliers that are out there. Kind of like if you took a cup of water and you just set it on the table, a couple little droplets are going to bounce out of that cup and dance on the table, right?
Yep.
It's going to happen. The vast majority of the water is still in the cup, though.
Yeah. It certainly is. So I put down here, before you go onto your social media, because that was another one about the distractions. I put down here, before you go on social media, just consult your list of priorities. And then I put underneath, do you even have a list of priorities? Because that's where a lot of people fall down when you're trying to make some kind of forward movement. You're trying to make some kind of shift. It's nice to create that list of priorities, not because you're going to forget, but like it's moments like this when it's like, oh, I shall go on the social media for a couple of hours. Oh, hang on a minute. No, I've still got, this is my priority at the moment. Just to keep triggering that thought. We're working on the priority. We're working on the priority. We're working on the priority. Eventually, you won't need the list, but it's amazing how invaluable a list of priorities can be in moments like that when you get distracted.
This is kind of why I picked the video thing that I have around me right now.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot going on, so I picked it because most of us are fooling around on our devices, on the computer, right? On the phones, whatever. We're fooling around on these instead of having a life, right?
Yeah.
We're on these things, especially during COVID. We're on these things. And when we're on it, look at all the distractions that are available to distract us at all times.
Yeah. Where did you go, John? You've gone into TV land.
Looks like the Matrix. Yes, it does, Tony. That's why I like this background.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Neo on one of them. I've been waiting. I've been watching for Neo.
He'll be in there somewhere.
He's the one.
So distractions. Try not to get distracted. Check out your list of priorities. In fact, create a list of priorities just for personal reference. That's just one of those little hacks that we're throwing in there. The last one, turn off your TV. I think that's a great one, John.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Turn off the. You know what? It has been, 15 or 16 years since I've watched the news.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm telling you, I know there's a lot that goes on in the world, and it's not a question mark of being informed or uninformed. It has nothing to do with that. Right. I turned off the news because there's never any good news on the news. There's nothing about the news that makes me feel better as a human being. Never.
No, they ought to preclude it by calling it the negative news. That's what
exactly.
The negative
or the biased news or the fake news network or the propaganda network or propaganda TV or whatever.
Yeah, the news we want to show you. Yes.
There's nothing about the news that will make an improvement on your life. What it does is it causes you to be distracted and care too much about things entirely out of your control. Okay? So I turn that shit off, and I call it shit. I turn that off.
Your attention. It does. It hijacks your attention. It's like,
it
sucks you in.
And you know what it does? More recently, this is very troubling in society. Kind of a side point, but it's very troubling. What it does is, in the more recent years, it has invited people and encouraged people, obliged even people to hate another person for having a different opinion than yourself. And that's an opinion. Yeah. We're not even talking about facts.
No.
That you legitimately hate with a passion another human being for having a different thoughts than you have. And that, to me, is an abomination. Like, it should never, this should never be a thing, folks. We're here in 2021. I'm sorry, But if my television tells me that I should be treating people differently because of their skin color, I'm turning the TV off. It's 2021, folks. Get the hell over it. Move on.
Yeah.
What do you think if just throw the TV out, because I sold it.
Exactly.
Gone.
Exactly. I don't even have cable. I haven't had cable in 3 years.
I think if anything major happens, we normally get to hear about it from somebody else.
Of course. You'll hear about it from your friends. You'll hear about it from coworkers. It'll be splashed on your social media. You are not going to be uninformed.
No.
Like I know about the world melting apart and all the political stuff, and I haven't watched the news in 15 years. But yet I know about it. I don't even pay for cable. I have a television right here because I have a PlayStation hooked up to it, and I like playing some video games. Right?
Yes.
That's the only reason that thing exists in this house.
Makes sense. So turn the TV off when you've got free time and use that time to work on yourself or your goals.
Yeah. I'm going to put this comment up on the screen because I really like this. So Abyss, it's going to pop up here on the screen right away. Abyss commented saying that depends on the media filter through which the news is conveyed. I'd like to be informed, but I don't want to be propagandized either. The trouble with this, folks, is that the media's priority right now is to spread propaganda. Whatever message they agree with and they support, that's the message that they're going to talk about. I'm not picking this side or that. I'm just stating a kind of a blanket fact. Whatever they support, that's the message that they're going to share with you. You're not going to get unfiltered, unadulterated, unbiased news. You're not going to get equal representation of all sides. It doesn't happen anymore. Certainly some places are far worse than others, some are still to some degree acceptable. You get a little bit better benefit than another place, of course, but at the end of the day, you are not going to get an unbiased news source anywhere.
And they're either going to play the race card, they're going to play a religion card.
Whatever it is to drive up ratings, that's what they're doing.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about politics, we're talking about religion. We're biased on one side or the other. It's just the way.
But again, that is the news's priority. That is politicians' priorities. That's the people who own the news network, the people in power. That's their priority. This should not be our priority. No. Our priority should be more localized and worry about our life, what happens in our life, not in the whole world. We can't do anything about the whole world. We can do things about our world.
Yeah, and there's a reason.
And that's where our priorities are.
Oh, 100%. And there's a reason why people buy these news networks. There's a reason why people keep putting a biased view out, because they know the constant spaced repetition of an idea, it will go in. And this is another good reason why we need to switch off, at least at some point, for a certain amount of time, to allow us to work on the things that are important.
Right.
It also switches you off. It also switches you off from your own intuition to trust people.
Yeah.
Exactly. If anything in this, and I love that you point that out, the whole intuition to trust people. I love that. Kind of as at least my rule of thumb. I don't know. You can do it as well. If there is anything in life that encourages you for whatever reason, doesn't matter what the reason is, if there's anything that encourages you to hate another person for any premises, you should take a long step back and get binoculars if you have to take a good, real long, hard look at that thing. Right? I don't care if it's your religion. I don't care if it's your political views. I don't care if it's the news. I don't care if it's your cultural values and outlook. I don't care what it is. If whatever it is causing you to hate another person for whatever reason,
something wrong.
You should take a real hard look at it. Okay? I'm not telling you it's right or wrong. You should start evaluating some things.
Yeah. Are these the kind of people I want putting ideas into my head? No, I don't think so.
Exactly. If something teaches you hate, you should evaluate that and see why, and if that's really what you want. Okay, that's That's all I'm saying. And again, comes back to priorities. What do you prioritize? Your own happiness, or do you want to prioritize a way of looking at things like traditionalism? Which one's more important to you? What are you going to prioritize?
I always come back to the same thing. Do you want to feel good or do you want to feel bad?
That's right.
And inevitably, somebody will say, well, I want to feel good. So therefore, if you're feeling bad, something has triggered that feeling. Otherwise, you'd be choosing to feel good. So
That's
if
right.
you've got like programs on TV that's causing you to feel bad, to feel angry, to feel negative, to feel down, despondent, there's something wrong there, because you would automatically choose to feel good.
That's right.
And if something's causing you to not feel good, step away.
That's right. That's right. Or at least take a long, hard look at it and evaluate what's important. Is this a priority? Is this a part of your priorities? And do the list. Colin said make a list. He's a British guy telling you to do a list. It's probably something to do.
It's a good idea. That's what John means. It's a good idea.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That was diplomatic across the pond.
That's right. That's right.
So,
what was how about we take a look at how to organize priorities? I mean, we talked about like how priorities affect our life and stuff. How about we just take a glance at maybe how to structure this and prioritize things?
Yeah.
How to prioritize your priorities.
Sounds good. Sounds good. It's a perspective that I hadn't thought of, and when I saw the notes that we were putting together, and I saw that point, I thought that's an interesting point. I want to see what John's got to say about this. So yeah, lead in.
Okay, so I kind of look at priorities as kind of I see priorities as the pieces of your goals, right? So if you see your primary goal, like say your 10-year plan, whatever it is, right? Maybe you want to be a doctor or something. Maybe you're 40 years old and you're like, you know what? I really want to go to med school because I want to be a doctor. It's a late start in life. I don't care. It's what I want for me. Okay. Whatever it is, doesn't matter, right? That becomes your goal. That becomes like the end of the path, the goal post, what you're looking for. And then you figure out, you set your standard on it, and you said, that's what I want. And you say, okay, how do I get from there back to where I am today, right? What steps do I need to have myself ready to be that, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I got to go to school. Okay, great. So which kind of school? Okay, I found a list of schools. These are my possibilities based on my history. These are the schools that'll take me to do this. Okay, it's going to cost money. Okay, great. How do I get the money? What do I do? How can I make this happen? And you kind of work backwards and you build out your plan, right? And then once you get your structure in place, once you figure out, okay, here's my school. It's going to take these classes. I'm going to work this job to pay the bills, to these classes, blah, 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 blah. And you work your way all the way backwards to where you are, each step of the way. Each one of those steps becomes your new priority in life. Okay? Even if it's time sensitive, it's something that is your priority. And you start to structure it. You start to say, okay, well, I have to get this one done first. And then because this one's done, now I can do this one and this other one's open as well. But this other one is time sensitive. This other one, I only have this certain window of time to do it in. The first one does not have a window of time. So my first priority is to get this first one done. Then my next immediate priority is to get the time sensitive one done. And then I can do the one that's not time sensitive, right?
Yeah.
You're structuring the order of your priorities.
Of course you are. I mean, there's the 80-20 rule. I can't think what it's called now, but there is an 80-20 rule that says that 80% of the stuff that you achieve is going to be a result of the 20% of the work that was put into it. So yeah, I'm all for figuring out that's got the greatest impact, and the impact obviously can be negative or positive. And I think when we're setting that goal, we need to make it a priority, because we always do the things that we deem to be necessary. When it comes to saying, well, yes, I'd like to do this, or it would be nice if this happened, 9 times out of 10, those things don't happen.
Right.
But to tie this in, when we make it a priority, or in other words, when we make it a necessity,
right,
or in other words, when we make it imperative, then we will get it done. So I'd like to try to look at priority or necessity as one of the key ingredients to successfully achieving some form of outcome. Anything that you achieve is because it's been necessary, not because, yes, you'd like that, or yes, or I wish this would happen. You've made it a priority. So,
Right.
yeah, so we've got to associate priority to this new goal, to this new thing that we're striving towards, becoming, to doing, to make, to get, whatever it is. So then it begs the question, how do we turn something into a priority?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know, because of the conversation we've just had about the news, that any idea that keeps being bombarded at us, thrown at us by the media, by some kind of something visual or something auditory, something that we see, something that we hear, with that keep going in there again and again, eventually it gets fixed in here. And then we tend to either adopt or adapt to that way of looking at things. So to use that concept, if you create that list of your priorities, and every time you go to drift off to watch TV or to go onto your cell phone, like we just said 5 minutes ago, I'm sort of covering the same basis here, but it amounts to the same. If you look at that list, reaffirm the idea, reaffirm the new outcome, eventually that becomes a priority. Any prevailing thought that you've got floating around your head becomes a priority.
That's right. And I love that you point out the list. See, when you say list, in my head, I'm not picturing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In my head, my ridiculous self is picturing that little bitty character at the bottom of the page. Is like at the bottom of the page, and then the next step up is this goal. And then when you finish that, you're one step up. You got the next one, the next one, the next one, and you're going higher and higher and higher and higher and higher until the final thing at the very end. You're like victory, you know. And that's kind of in my head. That's what I'm picturing. You know? But dude, the same things occur when you go through your list and you say, "I'm done with that. I'm done with that. I'm done with that." You feel good, and in that feeling, it drives you to push harder.
Yeah, the reward.
In times when you don't feel like you can push yourself, when it gets hard, right? Your priorities, you start looking back like, man, but you know, what was it? What is his name? He's a motivational speaker. I can't think of his name.
Les Brown?
No. He's one of the newer guys.
Okay.
He's one of the newer guys. I just can't think of his name right now. Anyway, he says, I haven't come this far to only come this far.
No, makes sense.
Right? And I love that. He says, I haven't come this far to only come this far. You know, and times get hard, and that's your priorities. Just say, you got to do it. I talked to how many people that they're like, oh, I don't want to go to work today, but I have to because I have to pay the bills. I got to keep food on the table, blah, blah, blah. You know, priorities. There's going to be times when there's going to be times when the obligations feel like they're just too much to bear. It happens. But when you have your list, I love the list. When you have your list, you feel good. You feel accomplished. You feel like you're making a difference. You're getting there, right? Yeah.
One of the few valuable lessons that school taught us, if I can remember back that far, one of the few lessons that the valuable lessons that school actually taught us was that if we write something down, the brain recognizes it as important, because you wouldn't write it down if it was not.
Mm-hmm.
So just by making that list of some kind of description in your own inimitable way, do it in a way that works for you.
Right.
So as John says, you can work your way through the list and you look at that list and say, is watching the TV on there?
No.
If I don't watch TV, what can I actually achieve? You know, for this next hour and a half or however long the average movie is going to last, you know? Mm-hmm. What can I achieve in the time that I would spend on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever platform you're on?
Haps, whatever.
Haps. Yeah, especially Haps. Don't go on Haps, because you'll hear some motivational stuff. You'll hear some life hacks that are going to help you make some
right. Jeez.
in your life.
What a toxic place. Oh my God.
Yeah, toxic.
Don't go on Haps, man. Tony will make you laugh and talk about Star Trek. Come on now.
He will. Star Trek. Yes.
And Tony, I haven't forgot about you, man. man, we got to do just a whole geek out broadcast, man. We got to do it. It's got to be a priority, man. We got to do it.
Priority. Has to be done. Right, so where were we? We went a little bit off track there. We got sidetracked by Tony. Tony, you were taking the rap for this one, buddy.
Yeah, it's all Tony's fault. I had nothing to do with it. It's all Tony.
It's all Tony. Right, so we've covered.
What also can be, what I feel with a priority.
Yeah.
That if you hit a brick wall with the things you have been doing so far in your life, and you need to go in another direction, and you make that as a priority to evolve yourself, to grow, to study into the direction you want to go.
That's right.
Yeah, but see, I look at a brick wall as something that we've got to go over, under, around, or through.
I'm gonna go through it. I don't care.
Yeah, whatever that brick wall is, there's going to be a way. There's going to be
or chip it down.
Yeah, exactly.
Chip it down, but that takes time sometimes.
It does.
Oh yes. This is why we set 5-year goals. This is what we said at the beginning of the broadcast. You know, your priority might not necessarily be an urgent thing. It might be a long-term thing. It might be a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year goal. Where you've got to spend those 10 years chipping away at the mortar, chipping away at the bricks, taking that wall down block by block by block. But if it's important enough, if you can attach enough importance to it, you attach that sense of necessity, that sense of must, then that internal drive will move you to the point that you need to be.
You know, there was somebody did a post on, I think it was Facebook the other day, and I loved it so much because, like I said, I play games. And they did this post. It was like a list of things that games have taught me over the years, right? And I love this. Oh my God, I love this list. I'll probably have to put it up sometime for you guys to see it. But one of the things on the list says, don't be deterred if a challenge was too much for you. Go back, level up, increase your skill, and try again. Right? I love that. Like you hit the wall. Maybe you hit the wall because you didn't come to the wall prepared yet. Maybe you need to step away, go save up some money, get a sledgehammer, and build up some muscle, and come back to that wall and just tear through that wall like it means nothing to you.
Yeah.
Well, I
Right?
did 7 years ago. 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Or bring a caterpillar.
Yeah. That'll work.
That would work too. Boom. No problem. There it was. Gone.
Right.
Right, where are we? So we've done the TV.
Or I like this one. It says, if you tried and failed 30 times, you probably missed something. Go back and look around again.
Yeah. So true. So true. If you failed 30 times, there's something that you've missed, isn't there?
That's right. You know, just go back and take a look around a little bit more, learn a little bit more, come back later.
Yeah. You might have missed some important teaching.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I love this list. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to save it. I'm going to put it up here on hats for people to see it if you want it. Oh, while you guys talk, I'll just take care of this.
Don't let your distractions distract. We've said that. It's not a lack of interest. It's lack of priority. Before you go on social media, consult your list of priorities. Yes, we've covered that. Obligation comes from an agreement that's been made on some level. Yep. That's what I was going to say. Create a sliding scale of importance on a sheet of A4 paper, and you put on the left-hand side, you put low or lowest priority, and on the right-hand side, you put high or highest priority. See where your goal falls on that sliding scale. See where your TV comes on that list of importance on your sliding scale.
Mm-hmm.
See where your mobile phone comes on that list. That's all you need. Just a sliding scale, TV, social media, your main goal. Put it on there. Daily basis, check it out.
And write it down, folks. Don't just, and I get it. I'm the guy that's like, no, I got it. It's in my head. I got it. Man, write it down. Really, it makes it substantial. It makes it real. And then when you sit down to watch a TV, you're not thinking about that list in your head when you're watching TV. You're thinking about the TV. You're not thinking about man, write that thing down. make a copy of it and stick it to the middle of the TV screen.
What I also like about lists, I think I may have mentioned this over the past 7 years, John, but when you look at a list of things, you can bombard your mind with all this stuff that's all connected, rather than if you're just trying to sit there thinking about something, you might think about a cup of tea, right? Okay, yeah, I want a cup of tea. But if you've got on the list that you've got a cup of tea and a couple of biscuits, and then you've got a slice of cake afterwards, and all this good stuff all listed together, you're bombarding your mind, bump, 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 one good idea after another, reinforcing that drive, reinforcing the importance.
And that list, it should evolve with you, by the way, folks. It's not just a one and done thing. When you make a list, you should be able to pencil in the margins and highlight things and erase something that you thought was a good idea last week, but when you finally got to it, it's like, oh, it's kind of a crap idea. Scribble that out and put a different one.
Yes.
Right? It should be organic. We're organic people, right? Like that's why we have resumes, folks. That's why we have a resume of all these different skills, and we reinvent ourselves and we get new jobs and we better and change ourselves. The list should be just as organic.
What can also happen, John, what also can happen, while you do a couple of the ideas before you get to the one that you scrap off, that you've had done the 2 of maybe 10 ideas you put on the paper, but after the 2, the rest all of a sudden aren't important anymore because the first 2 made you happy.
That's right. That's right. It'll change your priorities along the way. Like, I love that. Like, maybe, and I put a little comment up on the screen for folks to read. It's a funny side point. Maybe as you're doing your list, you start to find that final outcome isn't really what you want it to be anymore. Maybe.
Because of the growth that's taken place already. Yeah.
Yeah, like you change. As a person, you're going to change doing that list. You're going to work on it for a while, and you're going to change. And maybe the end result is not what you want anymore. Maybe. Yeah, that's okay.
It is. And yet again, there's 2 sides to that story, 2 sides to the coin. If you're working your way up the list or down the list, however you set your list out, because you can go either way. I mean, it
doesn't matter. It's your list.
It is. I like to go up the list because it feels like I'm moving forward.
Right.
But the other way of looking at it is if you've got like a list of 1 to 10 things of in that kind of order of importance, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10, 10 being the most important. I agree with Vera that you may get 1, 2, 3, 4, and you think, that's it, I'm happy now. You may not need to go further. But the flip side of that coin is
keep an open mind.
If you had that idea, that initial idea that you wanted to get to number 10, then don't let getting to number 4 be the distraction that holds you back.
Right.
This is why I'm saying there's 2 sides to every coin. It can work. Everybody's different. But the principles remain the same. Timeless truth.
That's right.
Captain Rehab's talking to you, Vera.
And you.
Yeah, and you, Colin. Tagged you, buddy.
Yep.
Talking about
requesting permission to taxi to Apron Delta to pick up voice actor Colin Porter and proceed to taxi down taxiway Foxtrot to runway 422 for takeoff.
Oh, most marvelous. Permission granted. Oh yes, we're taking off. We're going to Apron Delta. Oh, most marvelous. Right. Apron Delta, here we come. Right, so where are we on our overall grand scheme of things?
You know what? I don't even know. We've jumped around so much. I have no idea.
I think we've
you
covered
might
all the bullets.
put some.
Go ahead.
To scratch
Vera.
the ones you have had, so you know that you've talked about them already.
Sorry, say that again.
I didn't catch it either. I'm sorry.
Well, you're going to. Oh, I have had that one. Maybe you have to take a pen and just mark them.
Yeah.
Talked about.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Right. Advice on the broadcast. I love it. Yes, thank you. Yes, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. But I normally work through each sheet, throw the sheet down. but because John, in his own inimitable way, went from bullet point 1 to bullet point 3, and then we went sort of back.
And then back to 2, and then
to tie into what the lovely
2.3.
Vera was saying. So,
And then I joined,
and then
and then all the numbers were mixed up.
And then
That's
I'm
right.
going to Apron Delta. So
That's right. And then we just took all the numbers, we put them in a hat, and said, "Okay, Colin, here, pick one."
Yeah,
Can't look.
look at it. Just make it up as we go along and take it to Apron Delta with us. Foxtrot. That's marvelous. I think we've covered the bullet points. I really do, John. Because
I do. I think we covered them.
Yeah.
And then it looks like we got a puppy that needs some prioritized attention.
No,
Yes.
he's just moving under the desk, going to lay down there,
Okay.
be close to the action.
There you go. There you go.
But we
And
are.
he's only 100 lbs.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh,
I'm not going to
Bernese
give
Mountain Dog.
I'm not going to give him a piggyback. Not to Apron Delta. I'll put him back in the taxi. He'll be
I'd be okay with the piggyback. I think I would struggle a little bit with the excited Dino dog at the door.
We could put a saddle on him. He'll be okay.
He's calmed down a bit because he's 10 years old now.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. Now he just wants loves and food, like loves and food. That's life.
They've got their job weighed up, haven't they? They wag their tail, and you know it's not because they're trying to gain something out of you. It's because they're genuinely happy.
That's right.
You know when a dog's happy, it's not just playing you for a fool.
Give me a sec. I found something I have to take off his head. A tick.
Okay. Oh,
Oh,
bless you. Yes. So I think we've covered all the bases, John. So unless you've got anything,
no, I think we're good. And you know what? We kind of tagged it right at about the hour mark. I mean,
perfectly.
I feel like we did pretty good this time. We didn't go like an hour and a half over the hour mark.
No, it worked out rather well. Rather well. So I suggest then we wait for the lovely Vera to come back, and then we call that somewhere near.
Yeah. Call it close enough for horseshoes and hand grenades. Why not?
Near as damn it is to swearing.
That's right.
That's what it is.
I swear, damn it.
Yeah, very such foolish thoughts. Very such foolish thoughts. Do we have a topic for next week, or is that still in the realms of possibility, or are we thinking about bringing these to a close, or what does the future hold, John?
You know, I don't even know. I mean, for me, I've got a couple different priorities going on. I don't know. I haven't had time to sit down with the list and make sure that we got the next thing copied over onto the actual bullet pointed list for these broadcasts.
Yeah.
I have them written in a different document, and I just haven't copied the things over yet. And let's be honest, I'm not even doing it in the same order. I'm just going in and just pick one and just slap it over and then fill it in.
Right? Yeah, well, as you know, as we both know, they all tie together in the end. They're all.
Oh, they do. It's all the same stuff. It's just different ways of telling the same story.
Yeah, there's some overlap there between priorities, between goal setting. There's so much overlap. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do still want to set a priority to have a whole geek broadcast with
Tony.
Mr. Tony there.
Yeah, makes sense.
So if you can hear me, Tony, man, we got to make it happen, Captain. Come on now. We got to have the whole geek out fest, man. We got to get some Star Wars. We got to get some. So you know what? We got to get some superheroes, man.
Yes.
We got to get Star Trek as superheroes and whatever. Some cat butt.
Somebody changed the dog into a cat. The dog has suddenly turned into a cat. How did that happen?
Well, this is his little kitty sister. She's 14, almost.
There's the key word.
Yeah, see,
word.
there's the priorities right there.
Just in time to say good night, the little kitty.
Yep.
Okey-dokey.
Oh, she knows exactly when she has to come in.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key. Well, I'll leave it to you to address and Vera to address the sidebar there to thank the people for coming in, and I'll just sit here and finish my tea.
She answers also.
Well, hey, that's good. Well, I appreciate you guys all coming out, folks. Coming out to check out the broadcast, and I also appreciate the people who come and watch the recording after. You guys are all awesome too. Sorry you couldn't make it, but at least the thing's there for you guys to see it. And thank you, Vera, for stopping by and helping us with keeping things on focus and on point.
Yes, it's helped. It really helps.
Thanks for the
Keep things
invite.
organized.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't see what the topic was about. I thought, oh, what the heck? I'll join.
Yeah. Have fun. Wing it. Why not?
That's the way to do
So
it.
bye, everybody. Bye, Cat Butt.
Goodbye.
Have a good time.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.